Hello, friends. How are you all? I hope you had a gala time with your friends and family this Diwali festival season. Now it's time to get back to the action. Before we start with today's video on the shell scripting week 2, if you haven't watched my previous video of week 1 where we talk about what is shell scripting, what are the types of shells, how to write your first shell, how to save it, how to execute, do go and watch that before you watch this video. Without much further delay, let's get into action. Now let's learn the types of comment. In shell script, you can basically comment multiple lines. You can also comment a single line. For the single line comment, you need to just use hash. For the multi-line comment, you need to use less than sign, name of the comment, the line, and the comment. The second way is colon, single quotes, lines, and then colon. So that's how you can basically use the multi-line comments in different ways. Now let's talk about variables. Don't worry, we are going to have a demo session of this. But before that, let's talk about variables. What are variables in shell? Consider has a container or a box where you are storing the apples. So that container or a box is nothing but a variable, and the value of that variable is apples. So in shell we have three types of variables: local, global, system. As the name suggests, local, it is specific to that script or a block. Global, it can be accessible inside in the script, everywhere, and outside of the script also. System variables are basically designed by the systems to make a use of it. So I want to know what user I have logged in, I will use $user. I want to know my home directory, I will use $home. I want to know what is the default shell interpreter on my terminal, I will use echo $shell. So that's are the system variables. How can you declare a variable? The you can either use var, which is an optional, but you can just write x equals to 1. Why this is a variable? So variable can hold a numeric as well as a string. We will see in our demo session, don't worry. What are spatial variables? Apart from local, global, system variables, there is something called as a spatial variables. Like we look in our demo, echo $0 prints the name of the script. So that is a spatial variable. If you want to know how many arguments have been passed to a script, you can use dollar hash. If you want to print the process ID of the shell script used, you can use $. If you want to know the last command was executed successfully or not, you can use $? The number of arguments you can pass is up to 9, which is $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9. If you want to treat every argument pass has a separate, you use $@ and $* treats each argument as a single word. Don't worry, we are going to look at our demo session. So let's quickly get into our terminal. So I am on my AWS Cloud Shell terminal. So now we are going to write first comments.sh. So let's look into our demo session of comment. So now I have activated insert mode, echo this is first line, echo this is second line. Now let's just execute this script. says it has printed both the lines, but now I don't want to print the first line. What I will do, I will go into my insert mode, and in front of that line I'm just going to type hash. And now let's see the output. See, it has just printed the second line. It did not print the first line because we have commented it. Now, if I want to print, I want to basically comment the multiple lines. What I'm going to do here is like this, comment. And let's type here, this is my third line. So what do you think, guys? What would be the output? Let me know in the comments. So the output is going to be, this is my third line, because we have commented the multiple line, which is the first line and the second line, using our less than sign, the name of the comment followed by that. So that's how. So now let's go into our variable demo. So I'm going to create a script called as first variable.sh. I am into this. Okay, so let's type our interpreter bash. Okay, now, so a, so let's type a equals to 10, b equals to, this is my string. Okay, so if you want to basically store a string in a variable, you can use the double quotes. Okay, you can use the single quotes also. So let's see what happens when I use the single quotes. This is my single quote string. Okay, and now let's use echo. How can you access a variable? Using a dollar and the name of variable. Echo p echo c. So that's how you access the variable in shell script. Okay, now let's execute and see what happens. See, it printed the name of the value of the variable. So a was holding 10, it printed. B was holding a string, it printed. C was also holding a string, it printed. So that's how you can use variable for storing a numerical string or a boolean, whatever you want. And to access that, you need to make sure you use dollar and the name of the variable. Now, one more thing I want to show you here is, if I put this $C in the single quotes, see what happens now. See, it printed $C. So now the value stored in the C variable is not a value store, it is the name of the variable. So that makes difference with a single quotes and without single quotes in accessing the variable, right? So if I use same thing but with a double quotes, what do you think, what would be the output? Let me know in the comments. But we will execute now first variable, and see, it has printed the value of the variable. So the single quotes and double quotes or without double quotes makes a difference, and that's how you can access the variables. Now let's have a demo of our special variables. So I'm clearing a screen, vi first special.sh. Okay, and let's type here name of current script $0, name, process id used by current script. dollar echo number of arguments pass to current script. What did we know is dollar hash status of last command dollar question mark echo number arguments treated dollar at the rate arguments treated as dollar question mark. So let's save all this. chmod 775 first special sorry first special sh, and now if I execute, see here, see we have a name of the script which got printed first special sh. What was the process id used? 941. Number of arguments pass is 0. That's why you see the arguments treated and arguments treated has a blank. Status of last argument 0, because the echo statement executed correctly. So whenever the status of the last command is 0, that means it's success. Other than 0, it can be a negative, it can be a positive. Now let me type an argument 1, and if you see, now it has given the number of arguments to pass to current script is 1. It also gave us the argument treated as 1. Argument treated has 1. So now let me pass comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, and if you see this, it has given us an output. See, so that's what each and every use of special variable is. We have passed the 4 argument, last command was successful, it printed us. That's what it is. I hope you got an understanding of it. Now let me fool the system by writing a command, and then we will see what is the status of last command. So let me write a special. What happened to special? Okay, I am going to basically write here or type after this a equals to 1, and let's see what happens. You see, we got an error. Let me clear the screen and show you. Okay, see, we got an error. The status of last command is 127. The a command is not found. So that's how you can check the status of the last command. I hope until now you are enjoying this, and let's continue to learn some more interesting things of the shell scripting. So friends, let's talk about the basic loops in shell scripting. So we have for loop, we have while loop, we have until loop, we have if else loop also, and there is another thing called as a if else loop. So most of the cases you would be using for loop, while loop, and if else or if else loop on your day-to-day activities. So when to use the for loop? When you want to iterate something, which can be an array or which can be number of numbers or the strings pass, and you want to iterate one by one. For loop, if you want to execute certain commands or print something when the condition is true. Until loop is an opposite of the for loop. Until the condition remains false, it will execute. The moment it becomes true, it will stop. Then comes the if else loop. If the condition is, if you want to basically print something or execute certain commands, if the condition is met, okay, execute that, else do not execute. And if you have a multiple conditions and you want to execute certain things, then you be using if else loop. So let's have quickly a demo session on these loops, and then we will be moving to an operators uh, session. So let's go to our terminal and execute the first for loop script. So I am giving a shanbang of bin sh. So the use case here is I want to iterate the files which are having the extension sh. So that's where I'm going to now use the for loop. So for the name of the variable, whatever you want, in this case, say for I'm going to give file, okay, in, then which directory I want, user bin slash star dot sh, because I don't know the name of the file, I just know the extension. So that's where I'm going to put star sh. Syntax do, that's the syntax. Echo file name is dollar file, double quotes. Okay, next, done. So what is the syntax of for loop? For variable name in whatever you want, do, print something, execute certain commands, and then close the for loop with done. Save it, chmod 755 for loop, and now let's execute it. See, it has given us the list of files which are in user bin. So that's what is the use case of the for loop to be used in your day-to-day activities. Now let's use while loop. Okay, vi, I mean the insert mode bin as such, I have declared a variable I is 1. Okay, now while, okay, open brackets dollar I less than is nothing but an arithmetic operator. So if it's greater than, then it would be GT. Don't worry, we are going to see in our next session, which is going to be in next 1 minute after this is done. Less than 5, then here 2. Okay, echo value of I. Okay, and now I want to increment this because I want to make sure until the condition is true, print me the value of I, and the moment it becomes false, exit of that loop. I do not want to go into an infinite loop if I don't do like so. I equals to expr dollar I plus 1. Okay, and then we are going to do done. What I'm doing here is expr is nothing but an expression in shell script which is used to calculate your arithmetic things or to do the arithmetic calculations. If I want to calculate 1 plus 1, a 1 is assigned to a, b 1 is another assigned to b variable, and now I want to calculate 1 plus 1 equals to 2. That's where I will use expr. There is another alternative for this, which is bc. So every operating system would not have a bc installed on it, a utility tool, but expr would be definitely installed and you can use that. Now let's save this. Okay, let's give the permission 755 while loop, and now let's execute. See, it has printed until 5 because we have given a condition. If it is less than 5, print me the value of I. The moment it becomes greater than 5, exit from the loop. So that's how you can use the while loop for your day-to-day activities. Now let's use if else and if else. So I'm going to create a script if else dot sh, okay, bin sh, and I'm going to declare here 2. I value is now 2. If dollar $I is less than 5, okay, here then the syntax is if then echo value of I is less than 5. Okay, else echo and how are you going to close this? Fi. So it's if opposite is fi. So that's how the syntax is to be remembered. If then print whatever you want, else print whatever you want, execute whatever you want, close with the opposite reverse of it, which is fi. Give the permission 755 if else, and now let's execute and see it has printed 2 is less than 5. So that's how the if would work. Now let's change the value of I to 6 and see what happens. See, it has gone into an else block and it has executed us the line the 6 is greater than 5. So that's how if helps us to execute certain things or print certain things when the condition is met. If not, then it goes to the else box and execute. If I have a multiple conditions, for an example, let me put here if else if dollar $I is less than 10, then the syntax would be again the same then, okay, uh, and we'll write here greater than 5 but less than 10, and we'll now write an else block saying that the value pass is greater than 10. Let's see what happens. We are going to change now 6 to 11. See, it entered into the else block, so it went. So how the iteration work? It went here, checked if I value is 11, which is definitely greater than 5. Okay, it went here into the next if else, it checked I value is 11, which is greater than 10. Then it went into an else block and printed I is greater than 10. So let's put one more example here. Instead of 11, I am putting 7. Let me know what would be the output of this in the comments. So if we execute it, it has now printed us if thing, because 7 is less than 10 and it printed I is greater than 5 but less than 10. So that's how you can use if else if else block for your day-to-day activities if you want to execute certain things based on certain conditions. I hope you got an understanding of for loop. Now let's quickly move to our operators, which are arithmetic operators, relational operators, string operators, file text operators.